right. Hey, come in, sit down. We sold all the tickets. And so don't leave any spots. Scoot close together, make a new friend. Don't leave any gaps in between. We'll get started here in a bit. Okay, guys, everyone come in, start moving in. We're going to be starting the live stream here in a little bit. If you're buying books, you'll be able to get some after. Make sure you take up all the seats, scoot in the middle, don't leave seats out. We got a packed house tonight. We'll get started in just a bit. Are you controlling music? We're good? Yeah, I'm gonna play, should I sit in here or should I play Regiment? Yo, we gotta turn that. It's so blown out on that thing. I just listened. Okay, I just need to be quiet. Once it gets quiet, we can talk quieter. Okay. Yeah. Here. Really? Okay. So, I mean, you're telling me we could have two mixer boards and one of them's a live stream and one of them's this? You should have just brought our other mixer or something. I don't know. Yeah, of course. No. Hey, Carden, just go grab a chair from back there and just bring it up over here where everyone else is. He actually does this. It's different. What time is it? 7:05. All right, everybody quiet down. We're gonna get started here. We're gonna do something a little unusual you don't usually do at live events, right? But here's the thing: we get to, as we do the Stick of Joseph, we get to learn together virtually. We get to kind of be bonded through the gospel virtually, but we never get together and just get to pray. And I always love starting this off with a prayer because we're all like-minded, God-fearing, Jesus-loving individuals. And so I'm just going to start off with a prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we are able to gather here tonight. And learn more about the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're so grateful for Jesus Christ. We're grateful for the ways that he's personally helped us, the ways that he has changed our lives. Father in heaven, we pray that tonight we will have many laughs, we will have fun, but more importantly, that we will have the Spirit with us, that we will have our hearts touched, that we will walk away with a stronger resolve to be disciples of Christ. We're grateful for everyone that came here. We're grateful for just this whole experience of being together and gathering in the name of Christ. And we ask that his Spirit be with us. And we say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All righty, let's do this.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me in the back okay? Yeah?
Can you hear?
Awesome.
Okay, good.
At least one ground rule before we begin, and that is when you're taking a pizza out of the oven, watch where you're putting it, okay? That's what happened to me. But no, we're so grateful that you guys have come out. Who thinks that they come out from the farthest?
Okay, yell it out. Where are you from? Alberta, Canada. Does anyone beat Alberta, Canada? Sweden? Shut up. No,
Okay.
no. Is that real life? Actually, Sweden? Wait, you didn't fly here for this. This is a big part of it?
Like 51% part of it?
All right,
60.
Hey, okay, 60%. Hey, come up here. I'm gonna give you a gift. We have a friend of the channel. So, Landon Cooley, dude, what an insane investment. I don't know if it's gonna be worth it, but so Landon Cooley, are you here? Stand up real quick. So this guy, he's awesome. He actually is a carpenter that works on the temples, and he made special pens that were made from the wood of different temples. So we just gave that one to our. I didn't even ask your name. What was your name, bro? What's your name, Sven? Yeah. What? David. Okay. Yeah. It's not
You're
Sven.
uncultured, bro.
Okay, cool.
No, but raise your hand if you've seen the new table that we use at the Stick of Joseph. Yeah? It's super cool. Landon Cooley, he's the one that made that, and so he's made a bunch of different furniture for like the Manti Temple, the Burley Temple, and so give it up for Landon.
Okay. So, Ontario, remind me your name
Alberta.
again. Oh, Alberta. What's your name, though? Kim. So Kim was at our Boise event a couple of weeks ago and drove all the way from Alberta. And then we said later that we're going to do an event in Arizona this next year. And he's like, bro, I think that might be too far. I don't know if I can drive that far.
Hey, but
yeah, Sweden beat you. That's pretty awesome.
Kim,
What does your shirt say?
could you stand up and show everyone your shirt and yell it out? What does it say, brother? I can't.
Mormons.
It says, Mormons making a heaven out of hell since before the world was.
At the Boise event, at the Boise event, Kim was wearing a shirt that was awesome. It was a quote, right? And it said, the creeds are an abomination unto me. And then it was quoted Jesus Christ. It was pretty hilarious. That's awesome. So, okay, cool. Well, we're excited. We got a good night planned. And before we really get into it, we just have to let you guys know this isn't very serious, but we need to pay attention. The Orem police called us. They let us know there's not a physical threat or anything, but that there is an agitator, a possible disturbance of this event. He used to be a member of the church. I guess he left, and not everyone who is a former member of a church is an anti-Mormon, but this one specifically is. And so we just got to be on the lookout, and they give us a little bit of information so we know who we're looking for.
Yeah, essentially they've had a lot of problems with him before. They said that he's likely to come disguised as one of our fans, and so we were looking at our merch orders, and we saw an order come in from ordered from a snowflake on a mountain called Crumpet. And so if you see anyone that maybe comes from a snowflake, then just let our security know.
They look green. They're really grumpy. They don't like Christmas. So please, if you see it, let us know. We have to let the Orem police know. So yeah, we'll get into it though.
Yeah. But no, first off, Hayden and I, we have been on quite the journey for the last 11 months, being away from our families and doing something that we love to do, but also hate so much to do, and then love to do and then hate it. It's a
Abusive
real
relationship. The Marine Corps is an abusive relationship.
Yeah, it is severely abusive, and we have a bad case of Stockholm Syndrome. Bad case. But no, we brought out two of our best Marines to pull security. I'm not going to point them out as to not dox them, but give it up for Sergeant Gomez and Sergeant Cox.
Woo! All right, let's go to the first panel. You have something else? First panel. Yeah. Okay, all right, so we have 3 panels planned tonight. We brought a lot of LDS creators. I know most of you guys are not here for us. Most of you guys are here for everybody else that's here. And so we have an awesome first panel. They're going to talk about the year in review of what has happened, because it's been a very eventful year in LDS media, and there's been a lot of interesting things that have happened. And so for this first panel, we're going to call up Baylor from All Those in Favor. If you want to come up here.
Baylor Johnson.
We're going to bring up Chandler. Chandler, he has an Instagram called Restored Truth.
Bro.
I'm sorry, that was messed up.
Who saw Chandler's Latter-day Saints episode?
Hell yeah,
That's awesome.
Not very many.
And then the other people that we have up for this panel are Jackson, you know, obviously, and I do too.
Hey, Big Beard, you get up here, you cute man.
Colton Miller.
Colton Miller. And Colton Miller runs a channel called Colton Miller. And then our last guy that's going to come join us is Hayden Carroll from Let's Talk with Hayden Carroll.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this first panel, we just want to start by, first off, Hayden, I think you're the one that started your channel most recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, 2 months, maybe 6 weeks.
Yeah. But I just want to, by raise of hands, who has seen Let's Talk with Hayden Carroll? All right, now by a raise of voices, who's seen Let's Talk with Hayden Carroll? Yeah. I should have done that first. But Hayden, help us understand, like, what is the niche for people who haven't seen your channel? What is the niche that you're trying to fill in the Latter-day Saint content creation community? And why is it that you feel so passionate about what you're doing?
Oh, yeah. So a lot of people say Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder, those who go and set up tables at college campuses. That's kind of the niche that I'm filling. Is I set up a table, a couple chairs, camera, a couple microphones, a banner, provocative banner that gets people to come up and talk. And I think it's
like Mormons or Christians.
Mormons or Christians.
Very provocative.
Mark Driscoll.
Very provocative.
So yeah, I'm just passionate about it, and I think actually, as far as the year in review, I think we're getting more and more content creators this year, maybe because of Charlie Kirk, other things like that, where people are feeling more bold and more inspired to come out, and that may include myself.
Yeah. And yeah, give it up for him. And I love content like yours and Chuck's and honestly all of your guys' because watching it, and Hayden, as we've been gone and we haven't been in the sphere of making videos and stuff and talking about the Book of Mormon constantly, watching your guys' videos, I've been able to just grow my faith that the Book of Mormon, there's no way that Joseph Smith could have made up the Book of Mormon.
Wrong-o! View of the Hebrews. Look it up. 1825. What a crowd, what a crowd. Get a haircut. Is Mike Day here? Mike Day. Mike Day, if you're watching, you invite me to one more jubilation, I'll hunt you down and gut you like a fish. We got any Ward Radio fans? What radio fan? I got a letter just for you. We get to see Stick of Joseph fans, yeah? Stick of Joseph? Oh, okay. You know, if you need a good church, this guy, upstanding guy, would recommend Mark Driscoll. Who drives the minivan? Raise your hand. Minivan, yeah, okay, yeah. I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty, so give that a read. Thank you very much.
What are you expecting to get out of this? Interrupting us like this.
What am I? Boo, hish.
Boo that man.
This
Boo
event
that
could
man.
change my whole outlook on life.
Did you say this is 1825?
Yeah.
And Book of Mormon's 1830? I don't know. Is the Book of Mormon not true?
Not true. Grow up.
Starting to
I'm outta here.
this whole thing, guys.
Boo that man. That was a good bit, huh? Anyways,
I want to jump in really quick, though, because Let's Talk is 2 months old, but Hayden Carroll's been in the game for a long time.
How long?
And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Hayden Carroll, because I was...
What?
For sure. I was a young missionary in Indianapolis, Indiana. And my friend... Yeah, let's go, Indy. My friend, Cade Alvey, for those of you who may know him.
All those in favor? Let's go.
All
Give up
those
for
in favor. He sends me this Google Drive file, because that's like the only way you can access the outside world as a missionary. And it was Hayden Carroll and Jacob Hansen debating Apologia Church back in 2021. And it blew my mind. It was the first time that I was like, oh, there's answers to questions? Like, we're allowed to ask questions? We're allowed to debate people? So this guy has been, I mean, he has his badges of honor when it comes to defending the faith. Round of applause.
yeah, so if any of you haven't seen his channel, we filmed a couple episodes that'll be coming out soon with Hayden, talking about a lot of cool stuff and just how strong of footing we are as believers in the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. And Colton Miller, real quick, before we get into the real stuff, we actually were receiving questions before this panel, and one of the top-rated questions that was most asked was, what are you hiding under that beard?
I really wish I would have wore that one Acts 7:56 shirt that has the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of God, and there it shows Heavenly Father and Jesus, but my beard hides it. My buddy on that one episode, he named my beard Trinity because when you look at that picture through the beard, it's just this invisible, immaterial, genderless essence.
Can I just say, if you haven't seen Colton Miller, go look him up. Instagram, are you big on Instagram? That's your biggest following, right? Go look him up. You will learn more than you're prepared to learn.
If you haven't seen Colton Miller, your kids probably have.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyways, Colton, you've been doing your Instagram channel for about a year and a half-ish, yeah?
Yeah.
Over the last year, what do you think, how has your channel kind of adjusted, and what have you done to, I guess, better respond to the critics of the church over the past year?
Well, I've been doing about the same thing I started doing, I guess. I do have to give Jacob Hansen a shout out because I think about 6 months ago he texted me and he's like, hey, your video quality sucks. You need to download this teleprompter app. We're sick of watching these chopped up, a bunch of segment videos. So that helped at least the production quality get up to about mid. But to answer your other question, yeah, I mean, just looking to some of these goated apologists like Jacob Hansen and Hayden Carroll and Stick of Joseph, of course, reading the scriptures. The restored gospel has so much there's so much information that you can use to diffuse all these other things. So just reading and responding to people.
if any of you have seen a video of him online, you know that his tone does not change from what that just was. And I think that's one of the reasons you're so effective. But Chuck, how long have you been doing your page Restored Truth?
4 months.
4 months. And in 4 months, I keep wanting to call you Charlie because you go by Chuck, but Chandler, he's gained almost 30,000 followers on Instagram, and I think it's because, yeah, give it up for him. Because I think, and I might be speaking for everyone, that it's about time that we see Latter-day Saints engaging with people that are criticizing our faith and being like pumped up because you're winning. Like, this kid, he gets on TikTok Lives, he invites anyone to come talk to him about any subject, and it's incredible how you just so articulately express our faith and debunk people with just truth. And what do you see as like the future of your channel? What are things that you want to do going forward to have a greater impact?
Yeah. Production quality for sure. I just have an iPhone, so I just have an iPhone and a mic.
Put your mic up.
Okay. I just have an iPhone and a mic, so I got to do better there. But I'm launching a long-form content on YouTube at the beginning of the year is the goal. And the point of the channel is to learn how to defend the faith instead of teach the faith, how to actually defend the faith. When you have conversations, when you have critics, when you have people that come at you very strongly towards claims within the history of the church or the doctrine of the church, how to actually articulate the truths found within the restored gospel. So helping members learn how to articulate and defend the faith so we can stop getting clickbaited on social media. That's kind of
That's phenomenal.
That's the goal.
That's
So-
phenomenal.
Jackson, can I say one thing about that? You know what's interesting, and you guys would probably agree, the more you're in this business, or whatever you want to call it, this sphere of apologetics, or whatever you want to call it, the more you learn how strong our position is. The more you talk to people, the more you realize, like when I sit down with people who don't hold or are not married to this particular theology, when you share the restored gospel with them, they don't argue with you. They say, oh, that's actually very reasonable. It's only when you argue, well, we've been calling them creedist or creedal Christians. I think Jacob Hansen probably coined that in the last year. It's only when you interact with those individuals when they say, well, essentially you're disagreeing with what I believe, and therefore you are wrong, right? And Colton, you do a great job of that. When whoever it may be, Jeff Durbin or whoever gives some interpretation of Scripture, and you're like, actually, it means this. And you realize how strong our position is. The more I do it, the more I feel that way.
Yeah, awesome. Baylor, dude, you're awesome, bro. But here's my question. Are they ever just going to accept us as Christians or what?
No, they're not. I don't think. When you say they, who do you mean?
Them.
But when you say they, are they Christians?
No, that's a good question, because I guess the Latter-day Saints over the last year have gotten a ton of attention, and you know, if you subscribe to the idea that no press is bad press, I don't know if I am completely on board with that, but with things like The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, or you know, that. Or any of the other myriad shows that have come out. Baylor, what do you think is so important about taking these arguments of people online and showing the truth, explaining and arguing our position? Why is that so important for you?
I think, for me personally, it's important for me because I had a lot of questions when I was a teen, when I was a missionary, and the answers were out there. Like, we have a really strong position, but I didn't know where to find those. I mean, there's LDS scholars. Like, there's some of the smartest people in the world are members of our faith, and they've been writing books for decades arguing for our position amongst their different fields of, the disciplines that they study. And you don't know about any of that as a youth when you see some anti-Mormon content for the first time. So, I'm trying to make available the resources that I wish I had when I was a teenager. But for your question about whether we'll ever be Christians, you know, Christ said that my sheep know my voice, right? And I think that that's something for all of us to reflect on. But for all of those people that are saying that we're not Christians, you know, there's also the people out there, the Christians who know the voice of the Savior and they see his fruits through us. Did you guys see Robert Griffin III? Any football fans out there? Robert Griffin III, former Heisman winner, just the other day, just went on Twitter. He went to Baylor University, you know, Christian university, and he said, hey, Mormons are Christians. Dallas Jenkins, creator of The Chosen, he said, hey, the Mormons I know, they're Christians. So there are many creedal Christians that do know the Savior's voice and recognize the fruits, but we're a little behind the curve. There's a lot of misinformation to correct from the last like 200 years. So.
Yeah. No, and Jonah Barnes and I did an episode on Latter-day Saints today, and we were talking about the impact of the Light the World initiative and how Jesus Christ in John 13:34, he says, a new commandment I give you, that ye love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye shall love one to another. And we saw a really cool demonstration of this. I just want to highlight it. But after that tragic shooting, Dave Butler did something that was unprecedented, and he started a Give, Send, Go for the shooter's family. And did anyone see that? And he'll be the first to tell you that it wasn't. He doesn't take any credit for that. And here's the thing. We don't really care if they allow us in the club of being Christians. Those like Mark Driscoll, Candace Owens, other people that don't consider us Christians, it doesn't bother me, at least, and I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. It doesn't bother me because I want to be part of their cool little club, their gatekeeping club, but it makes me sad for the sincere seekers of truth out there that are turned off to the restored gospel, because if someone believes in Jesus Christ and they're not a part of the restored gospel and they hear that Mormons aren't Christian, I would be like, oh, if we're not even starting off on the same foot of Jesus Christ, then I don't even want to bother looking into your faith. And it's just like what it says in Doctrine and Covenants, that they are separated from the truth because they know not where to find it. And so I'm curious, a lot of you, I've seen you make videos and even have banners outside of Mark Driscoll's church saying,
Mormons are Christians.
Mormons are Christians. And so I guess, why does it bother you when you hear these popular figures expressing this blatant false lie? Hayden, start with you.
I wouldn't say it bothers me, but I would just ask them why. Here's my advice to anybody who cares. Whenever somebody says that Mormons are not Christians, you need to ask them what they mean by that. And what they actually mean is, you're not a Trinitarian. That's what they mean. What you should probably say, amongst other things, is, I'm trying to follow the Jesus of the New Testament, whoever that is. Maybe I don't understand his nature like you do, but do we have to understand his nature perfectly? Here's my thing. If the Trinitarian formulation or philosophy of the oneness of God, the consubstantiation, the homeostasis of God, is salvific, is so important, why did Jesus never say anything about it? Why did the apostles never say anything about it?
None of them first century Christians were actually Christians then.
Right.
Second century, third century. Second century Christians aren't Christians.
So let's sit. Okay,
Calm down there, Colin. Okay?
Yeah, you'll get your turn. Here's the issue. How can you expect them, first century, second century, third century Christians, people who probably wanted to follow the Jesus of the New Testament, how can you blame them when they did not have apostolic authority and public revelation? They were doing the best they could. Think about it like this. What's the point of all of Paul's letters? He's trying to correct the church. And when they say, by what authority? He says, what do you mean? I'm an apostle of the Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm receiving this by revelation. The funny thing about credo Christians is they all agree, yeah, there is no more such thing as apostles or public revelation. God no longer speaks to the whole earth. And that's where you get these philosophies, these Neoplatonist philosophies of the oneness of God that come from way before Jesus Christ. It's Greek mythology. And Greek, they call it the Hellenization. Hellen means Greek in Greek. And it's that lens trying to interpret the biblical text of hard monotheism, which requires them to have all of these issues in their doctrines. Because they're not actually looking at the text. They're imposing their view on the text, and that's why you get the Trinity.
Yes. The philosophies of men loosely mingled with Scripture, loosely. But Colton, obviously you got really fired up about that question. Why does that fire you up? Why does that possess you to go and hit record and then type out a whole thing on your teleprompter app and then just speak to the camera?
I mean, it goes along with what Hayden said. I mean, if you ask them, well, what is the definition of a Christian? If they say somebody that believes that the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit are the same substance, then I'm like, oh, no, I'm not a Christian then. But if a Christian is somebody that follows Jesus of Nazareth, who was born of the Virgin Mary, that lived a sinless life, that healed the sick, raised people from the dead, that suffered in the Garden of Gethsemane and was lifted up on the cross and buried in a tomb and rose again the third day and ascended into heaven, then I'm a flippin' Christian.
Amen.
Amen.
Chuck, we talked about this a little bit on the episode we did on Latter-day Saints, but most of the time you're pretty measured. If you go to the comments, Chuck, he likes to have fun. But help me understand, you've done quite a few videos addressing this topic as well. What gets you so fired up about it as well?
I just say I'm a biblical Christian, not a creedal Christian. And the moment I say that, they kind of take a step back and they're like, what does that mean? And then I typically just go through the route of where do the New Testament apostles define what a Christian is? And can you show me that? Because that's the standard I want to follow. Mm-hmm. And you typically go down the route that the original first century followers of Christ were followers of the way, or they were saints. What did they believe? What did they have to do to be associated with Paul? And I've found if I go down that rabbit hole with only using the New Testament, not talking about Joseph Smith, not talking about the church, and just say that is exactly what we believe in, then it kind of just lets them like, oh, like, whoa. And so they take a step back and realize, like, that is the point of why the restoration happened, is to get us back to the followers of the way, the saints, the true saints. And usually it dissolves to the point of, well, it matters about what Jesus it is then. And then you go into the consubstantiality part. But I find there's a lot of middle ground to be made in that context and in that line of thought. So,
yeah, that's awesome. Baylor, lastly, dude, what possesses you to do what you're doing and make these response videos about the claim that Mormons are not Christian?
I mean, I think like Hayden said, we have a strong position. When he says that, he's not saying like, even spiritually we do have a strong position, incredibly strong. But intellectually we have a strong position, and we have a huge head start. Like, we've been debunking these arguments for decades and decades, and no one knows about it. So everyone here, if you haven't read this, 1997, Paul Owens and Karl Mosser, they write an article called Losing Battle and Not Knowing It. And they're a couple of evangelicals. They went on to write a book trying to debunk the church. And that was the title of their article. They said, guys, we're losing the battle against the Mormons, and we don't even know it.
Really?
And that was in 1997. Look it up.
Have you done a video on this yet?
I've mentioned it a couple times. But this is what they say in it. They say to their fellow evangelicals, they say, listen, guys, we've got it all wrong. These guys are a lot smarter than they think we are. And in it, they say, Mormons are not an anti-intellectual faith. We're not. We're not the head in the sand. You know, if you type in a question on YouTube, you'll find some guys like us trying to answer it. We're not avoiding the scholarship. And I think, this whole thing, I think you framed this all up as what has happened in the LDS space online in the last year. I think we're just proving over and over again that we are not an anti-intellectual faith. In fact, we're a highly intellectual faith. We're a very reasonable position. And philosophically, it's a lot more defensible than believing that the God that supposedly loves us wants to send most of his children to burn forever.
The Trinity's evil. I've said it before.
Well, if you look at what Hayden and Jacob just did to try and give Mark Driscoll cookies, and they had security that wouldn't even let their patrons come and talk to them, that's keeping people's head in the sand.
That's anti-intellectual
It's
right there.
propaganda so that we don't affect their bottom line.
Yeah.
Putting Driscoll on notice. All right, well, again, if you haven't checked these guys out, please go follow All Those in Favor, Restore Truth. Your channel's Colton Miller, right? Yeah, Colton Miller, and then Let's Talk with Hayden Carroll. Give it up for him.
Hey guys, I just want to let you guys know it's the season to light the world, and we have been donated like 200 almost of hats and scarves. So any purchase that is made, whether it's books or a Stick of Joseph shirt or something like that, you get a free beanie and a scarf. And everything here tonight, by the way, is 20% off because you guys came out to this event, and yeah, we just love you guys. And so first, before we get into the next panel, I forgot something, and I think it was subconsciously because I'm afraid. I'm afraid about what's going to happen. This is Jonah Barnes. As you guys know, Jonah Barnes, he likes making music, if that's what you want to call it. You could call it music. Some people would, maybe. But Jonah actually has a long history of making music. And I actually know a friend of his. His name's Matt Slack. And he was in his band. He was in his band back in the day. And I said, wait, Jonah Barnes was in a band? Like, what kind of band? Like, did he play the banjo and like a folk? Like, what kind of, he's not cool. So what if it wasn't a cool band? And so I said, send some photo evidence of what's here. So this is Jonah Barnes in his college band. There they are. If I remember right, there's Jonah. He's pretty hot. He's pretty hot. Pull up the other picture. If I remember, what is your guys' names? What was the name of the band? Ivy League. Ivy League. So this is Ivy League. There's the next one's my favorite. He looks hot in it, and I know why Charlotte married him. Look at him. He looks like he could be in Weezer or something. So with that, Jonah Barnes has something for us. And just disclaimer, I do not condone anything that's about to happen. What the heck? No. You can't play the accordion.
Oh, yes, I can.
I'll hold the mic. I'll hold the mic. You hold the paper.
See, now I want to do something to get back at you. I'm trying to think. Do I have a really embarrassing song? Okay, here we go. So, has anybody ever seen Ward Radio before? Okay, on Ward Radio, we were the first to really break ground on the new discovery that the three kings were actually Nephi, Lehi, sons of Helaman, and Samuel. And that is now official church doctrine. So if you're not up to date on that, now you know, okay? Tell all your friends and your seminary teachers and your gospel doctrine teachers that that's now official church doctrine. But what it means is we need to rewrite some songs, okay? Because we have some wrong songs about the three kings. So this...
Three wise men, you mean?
Yeah. Pardon me, three wise men. So now we have a scripturally accurate version of We Three Kings. We're three kings from Zarahemla, not three stargazing chums from Persia, with devotion crossed an ocean erased for millennia. Transatlantic voyage was totally possible before Columbus. Our professors are silly guessers, they hath done dirty to us. O star of wonder, star of light, bring the true three kings to light. Stolen identity, Curtin McConkie, bring our suit of copyright. Nephi, Lehi, and Samuel, we endured the cruise from hell, a year on a yacht with Captain Haygoth to visit Emmanuel. Here comes Mormon to edit the book, our last chance to get a new look. Instead, we're ditched for Nephite coinage, three kings left on the hook. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, bring the true three kings to light. Stolen identity, Curtin McConkie, bring our suit of copyright. Everybody! Oh, star of wonder, star of light, bring the true three kings to light. Stolen identity, Curtin McConkie, bring our copyright.
That was amazing.
That's what we played in the rock band a lot. It was very popular in rock.
Yeah, that's what you played in the rock band. Oh my goodness, that was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen an in-person, I didn't know that those things were real. I thought they were like in Disney movies, really. That's all I thought. Okay, awesome. Well, we're gonna have our next panel. As you guys know, we have recently published or started a children's publisher called Little Saints Books. And I'm gonna switch over to my different chair. So Little Saints Books, where And It Came to Pass meets Once Upon a Time. And so the very first thing that we felt like was important to start teaching our children was a family proclamation. If there is a sign of prophets and seers and revelators in our day, I would say that the family proclamation is probably the strongest. So, yeah, give it up for the family proc. So it's been 30 years, and to come up and discuss the family proclamation and its 30-year anniversary, we're going to bring up first Greg Matsen from Quick Media. Greg Matsen from Quick Media, and then we're going to have Andrea Woodmansee, a crowd favorite. And then we wanted to bring someone that would say the things that we were too afraid to say, so Carden Ellis. And then the author of the book, Austin Charles. Are you here, Austin Charles?
Sounds like a fake name.
What? Oh, no. No, French. Boo. Boo.
Family proclamation. Oh.
What's up, dude? What are you doing here?
I just found this in the back.
You're gonna read the family proclamation? What do you think about the family proclamation? No.
Family proclamation, let's see. You were born. God made it quite clear that babies belong in a family held dear. Marriage is power to help babies grow. How does that work? Ask your parents. It's Bumbercillas. They come from the
Pumbercillas?
Yeah.
That's where babies come from?
Yeah.
Is family kind of is it a sore subject for you?
Perhaps.
Well, you know, Mr. Grinch, I know it's hard that you don't really know where your family's from because you're such a weirdo.
I mean, look at you. I mean, sorry, I'm not trying to, but you're weird looking. You know that, right? You've seen a mirror.
It's because I'm green, isn't it?
Yeah, it is because you're green. Yeah, that's not normal. But, you know, I think if you read this book, maybe it will revive in you a desire to have a family of your own one day. Because that's all we really want, right, guys? Is to have a family. Yeah.
Fine, I'll read it. I'll give it a try.
All right. Okay, guys. All right, so, Greg, so we recorded an episode about this not too long ago on your channel, right? The Family Proclamation. And it was awesome because you didn't know anything about this book before, but you left pumped up. And there was one page in particular that left you pumped up, right? And I'm going to read that from you. So for you guys, I'll see if the camera can show this right here. It's this page that has protesters standing in front of the conference center. And they're holding a sign that says, "Commandments are mean, why get married?" And I'm just going to read this to you. And Greg, I want you to give the thoughts of why you think we need to talk this plainly to our children about these sort of things. So I'm just going to read from this. It says, "Some people don't care how a family should be. They reject what is true or pretend not to see. But God's pattern is perfect. His plan is secure. When built upon truth, families always endure. New voices now question what's timeless and true. They say what God taught us no longer will do. Don't waste time with kids, the loud voices shout. Chase comfort or money, that's what life's about." Why did that impress you so much when we first read it?
You've got a little kid's book with protesters in it. That's the first thing that impressed me. You know, why would you do that? Why would you bring up something like this to a little kid? Why talk this way? It's because they're going to hear it anyway, right? You're all here because you are all online. We are all online. Your kids are online. Your grandkids are online. And this book plays offense. That's what it does, right? It steps in front and says, I'm going to talk to you about things you're going to see, no matter what. And if you don't do it from a faithful perspective and as a parent, then you're going to hear it from somewhere else. And all of a sudden you start forming opinions. So, you know, one of the reasons I started my channel, for example, is purely awareness. We need awareness. And if we don't provide awareness, not just for us here, but for kids, they're going to get this information elsewhere, form their own opinions, and create, you know, friendships and bonds that are maybe a little bit toxic for them. The family is at the heart of so much. I just came from a very interesting interview where I had an opportunity to stand up and talk about the family and talk about the order of the family. It was very interesting.
Are you going to tell about this interesting interview, or are you just going to allude to it?
Say it.
Where's my advisor?
Say
Who's
it.
going to be my advisor?
Is your wife here? She's not here.
My wife's not here, so I can say anything I want. No, I just came from Mormon Stories, from John DeLynn.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Everyone breathe.
Yeah.
Everyone breathe.
What's going on with Greg? Yeah, so, you know, I had the opportunity to stand up and say something about that. You look at the family, and it's so tied to Christianity and to religion. As we lose religiosity, we lose the family. We lose the fertility rate, the birth rate, which is, to me, the biggest concern we have, period, in any country, anywhere in the world, is the birth rate that is dropping so fast, including here in Utah, where it dropped 10 places among 50 states last year.
Oh, that's not good.
So anyway, family is crucial, but the kids need to know about it and talk about it from a very early age.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Carden, what do you think right now when it comes to the family? Like, this was the 30-year anniversary of the Family Proclamation. And, you have the largest ward in the church, actually. You have online. How big is the Discord? Like 3,500 members, 5,000 members? It's something crazy.
I don't know. It's a lot, though.
It's a lot of members of the ward. And I've heard many horror stories of people. Luckily, in my ward, a couple weeks ago, we had a lesson on the Family Proclamation, and it just went swimmingly. We read through it, and we talked about why it's important for fathers to be present in the home and mothers and fathers to work together to raise their children. But there's a lot of things in the Discord of people from all around the country talking about the way the Family Proclamation is looked at throughout the whole church? And what are some of the things that worry you? What are some things that you've seen this year in regard to the Family Proclamation?
Oh, in California, the Family Proclamation's doing great.
Yeah.
We exported all of the awfuls, the affluent white female ultra liberals, to you guys. So have fun with them. Yeah, they just buy Julie Hanks tickets in bulk, you know what I'm saying, along with their Xanax and their divorce lawyer speed dials. But yeah, in Los Angeles, the Family Proclamation's doing swimmingly, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think it has a hard time in Utah? Because a lot of the horror stories that I have heard of people saying, hey, I've heard people abdicate completely, even giving lessons about the Family Proclamation, where they say, I was supposed to give a lesson about the Family Proclamation, but we're not going to do that, we're going to do this instead. Why, and this is for everyone, why do you think Utah, a lot of these stories are coming out of?
Niceness culture muzzles us into not wanting to offend people. And those that would oppose the Family Proclamation figured out long ago that it's easier to leverage a Mormon's kindness and Christ-likeness against them because they value that than it is to actually make coherent arguments against the thing. You will get further at doing damage to the church, to the relationship you're trying to affect, if you simply try and paint that thing as mean in Mormonism than you will as painting it as untrue. Because Mormons, just as Baylor said, are very willing to intellectually engage. They're very pliable mentally. They are not pliable when it comes to you attacking their identity as a kind person. And so in our desperation to be kind, in our absence of conflict, we stand on the shoulders of giants that formed the empire of the West. And in the wealth of that, we forgot how to fight, but we're slowly getting that back. And that's why I'm so stoked to see so many creators here that are bringing that back. And that's why I'm excited to be here, too. So I think it struggles in places where niceness culture still has a big claim on the psyche of the citizenry, but yeah, we're not nice over there.
Well, I think there is something there where here in Utah, right, we're in the Utah bubble, as they call it, and so we are in our Latter-day Saint communities, and we don't have to live out loud boldly the gospel in the same way you have to in other places, right? Because you're going against a river. Here, you're just floating in the lazy river sometimes, and it's really easy to just move in that direction. So I think Utahns are probably even less likely to be okay with any sort of conflict whatsoever because of that fact. Andrew, what are your thoughts about what we're talking about?
Yeah, so I've actually been in that situation of having to teach a Sunday school lesson on the proclamation and feeling that heaviness and that weight that, like, I don't want to say something that's, and I think part of it, though, is a sensitivity to knowing that people's families look different, and people have a lot of personal situations. And so I think that's part of the challenge with the proclamation is that this is really personal. It's not just an intellectual, doctrinal idea.
It's about your family.
It's your family. And that right there, I think, tells us that because it's so core, it is the core of the gospel. This is what it's all about. It's your family. And that's why it hits so close to home. That's why some of these issues around the proclamation are so sensitive. And so it's not necessarily just trying to be nice, but it's also trying to be sensitive to the situations that people might be in and to their, some really difficult family situations, and trying to respect that and maintain family relationships even across some of these divides.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but also, can we just stop acting like preaching the proclamation of the family is some heavy topic? Like, what's so, it's a document written by a bunch of boomers that basically says, women nurture generally and men provide, and when you do traditional things like this, life turns out better. Oh my gosh, the controversy. We're literally a religion that is basically a sci-fi sex cult. You know what I'm saying? Yet we're worried about, saying gender is eternal. Like, what?
What is happening?
We say God has
saying?
Sorry.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, the sci-fi sex
The
cult thing
sci-fi-
might be
that
wrong.
part, that part.
But
No, true. I mean, like, you know, you multiply and replenish the earth, and there's eternal progression. We've got, like, Kolob. What the hell is Kolob?
all right, I get what you're saying now.
You know?
Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica, yeah.
But I think that's where I think we do have a desire to be sensitive to the situations that people are in.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't stand on the doctrine, right? It's because it is that most core doctrine, because I think the fact that we're sensitive to it tells us it's the core and
Yes.
shows us the importance of it and of not backing away from those core doctrines. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that is the loving thing to do, is to teach the doctrine, to teach the principles, because that's what brings ultimate happiness to people's lives. You know, if the whole point of the proclamation is to bring families together, to bring families to Christ, and to have these happy, eternal families, and that's possible for everyone if we follow those principles.
For sure. And, you know, just because there is different types of families, but that doesn't mean we get rid of a standard, right? And so because in the proclamation it has that section, right, that says like, hey, things are going to be different, right? And so this is how it puts it in the book, and I think it's a really good way that just kind of it holds the line while also making people feel like, hey, I can still live the gospel and have it be central, even if my family doesn't look the way that the standard looks.
Exactly, and I think this is something that's really important to understand, is that just because families might look different or there might be different situations doesn't mean we get rid of the ideal.
Yes.
The ideal might be something hoped for or longed for, depending on what our individual situations look like, but that doesn't mean that the ideal isn't important. That ideal can be a lodestar for us.
For sure. So I'm just going to read this part on it. It says, God's pattern is families with mom and a dad. Some homes are different, and that can feel sad. Sometimes there's illness or someone is gone. Life can be hard, but God helps you feel strong. Grandparents or uncles and aunts can help too, can help with the things that parents would do. No matter the shape that your family may be, God sees you and loves you and knows every need. And there's one thing that I would add in there too, and I grew up in a family where I had a mom and a dad that loved me, but I also know, growing up in the ward that I grew up in, when I was going to Boy Scouts and Young Men's, if I grew up without a dad, I think I would have been okay, because I was surrounded by strong men and good women who were also helping me. And I think that also shows the importance of the church itself, the organization of the church, is that the family proclamation is the standard, but we're all going to fall short of all of the standards, all of the standards that are laid out in the gospel. And that's why we work together as the body of Christ, because alone, none of us will be the body of Christ, but together we can create a place that brings Christ to the world. You know what I mean? And so I guess I would say to everybody here, there are kids in your ward, there are families in your ward that are broken, that maybe are mixed faith families, or maybe the mom or the dad are abdicating responsibility. See where you can fill a role, where you can be a life raft for a kid, or a single mother, or a single father, where their family doesn't meet the standard, and show the standard of Christianity to that family and help make them whole. Go ahead, Greg.
I was going to say, so I grew up in a family similar to this, where similar to what you're saying. When I was 6 years old, my parents split. And this is back in the day when there was this huge stigma on divorced couples, right? And it just didn't happen that often in the church. So I'd go from one weekend with my mom and go to her ward, and then I'd go the next weekend with my dad, back and forth, and there was my brother and my sister, and we would do this. We were always the outsiders. I could never be in a presidency. I could never have a real calling in the Aaronic priesthood because I was gone so much. And I felt this and I knew this. But, you know, my parents, my mom and my dad, even though my mom hated my dad, they focused on, well, what are we going to teach the kids? What do we do with this? I mean, we're not in the perfect situation, but my mom and my dad, and later his next wife, my stepmom, they all tried to do everything that they could to make it ideal as possible, to make it an ideal situation, and teach us that, hey, we need to go find a spouse, we need to have kids, be a responsible husband and a father. That's what you do. You don't change anything about it.
Yeah, wow. I love that. And I think when it comes to I've heard a phrase often in the church, and it kind of made me feel uncomfortable every once in a while. We talk about how we're a family-centered church. And the reason that made me feel uncomfortable is because I'm like, no, we're a Christ-centered church. And I used to think that maybe those would be in conflict, that somehow we could idolize our family too much where we're not turning towards Christ. But then you look at what is it that separates us from the rest of the Christian world, and it's this. We believe God has a family. We don't believe in an ungendered, unknowable, with no parts or passion God that created us out of nothing as creatures to worship him for eternity. Boo. Yeah, boo. We believe in a God whom we are his actual offspring. And our spirit brother, Jesus Christ, came to save us from death and sin so that we can ascend to be like our father and our mother. And so that is why family is central to the gospel, is because we are all a part of God's family. And Christ's role and God the Father, God the Mother, their role are all necessary for our salvation. And when we have children here on this earth, right, it's blew my mind when I had my first kid and he looked exactly like me.
I'm sorry.
Like he looks just like me. I know, it's rough. He's going to have a rough time. But at least I have someone to empathize with. And but I remember looking at him and then looking at pictures of me. And I was like, he looks just like me. And then I think about when we participate in creating families, just like God created us in his image, we are creating kids that are in our image. We are participating in building a Garden of Eden with our Adams and our Eves. And that is why the family is central.
One more thing. It's interesting, right? When you go through the temple, what are the two things you're focused on when you go to the temple? The whole process of the temple is Christ is the mediator. It's all about covenants and building a relationship with Christ. But the whole ascension process, the whole thing you're going through, is first individual and then builds and builds and builds until you get to family. That's what the whole thing is about. And so you cannot separate, to me, the doctrine of Christ from the doctrine of the family. They're one and the same. And so when people say, well, there could be some changes in the temple about marriage or other things, it is no different to me to change something like that than to say, well, God didn't really suffer for us and he didn't pay for our sins. Maybe he resurrected or something. It's no different. It's the same thing. The whole purpose of the temple is building a relationship through Christ so that, right, Moses 139, what is it? Come on.
This is my work and my glory.
This is my work and my glory. The whole purpose of the atonement, the whole purpose of Christ.
Are you going to finish it? To bring to pass the immortality and
is
eternal life of man.
Is to bring to pass the immortality of
Yes, 100%. Carden, I've been able to spend time around you and your family at your house. Carden's studio is in his garage, and every single time you go down to his studio, you're like a part of the family. He's got his massive dog named Cricket, who's a giant Great Dane. He's his awesome wife, Brittany, his two amazing kids that are super fun and funny, really smart and funny like their dad. What about fatherhood has changed you? Because you're a wild man. We all know that. But I have seen the way that you interact with your kids and your wife when you're being dad, and I am impressed with how much you really care about them. What about fatherhood has changed you, and especially maybe through the lens of the Family Proclamation?
Oh, geez, what about fatherhood has changed me? My probation officer gives me a lot more slack on weekends. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for nervously laughing, whoever that was. Like, everybody else just believed it. Like, geez, guys. What has changed me? You go from boy mode to builder mode. That's one of the things that I first noticed, is that when you become a father, when you get married, you realize, okay, there's something that I'd die for. When you become a father, you realize there's something I'd kill for. Like, yeah, you like that one, huh? Yeah. Again, don't like nasal snort, like it's. Anyway, it's also you realize there's something bigger and more important than yourself, which you get in marriage very much to a degree. But it is like put on steroids, I feel, when you have children. And I think it's made me kinder, it's made me more empathetic. I realized how stupid I was when I was young, which I didn't realize before. In fact, it was just like yesterday that I figured it out. But yeah, it's all been good. I can't complain. I'd also like to remind everybody that this episode is brought to us by the Ketubah and Cardio Miracle. And that's all I got.
Yeah. The Ketubah and Cardio Miracle. Andrea, you have an interesting family because, and I didn't know much about it. You talked a lot about it last night, but you have fostered children and even adopted a kid. You even had adopted a kid before telling your husband, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you told us that last night. She said yes to an adoption and then was like, hey, honey, we're adopting someone. So what have you learned about the family and about the family proclamation, the value of the family proclamation, by bringing two children who did not come from your womb but are a part of your family?
Well, it's just one child who I
One
adopted.
child, yes. You fostered
We did
another,
have
right?
we had other foster children.
Yep.
In addition to our biological children. When the family structure crumbles, it's really hard on children. And I had the experience of a traumatized 3-year-old left on my doorstep, basically, because of her family situation, through no fault of her own, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. But the hope in the story is that this young girl, and we ended up getting her sister as well, to see the change that happened in that family in that year, because they started living, not that they pulled out the proclamation, they were like, what should we do here? But they started living the principles. They started keeping those commandments, and it transformed their family. And there were actually 6 children in this family, and they were all reunited with their parents. And that day that we got to go over and take those girls home, you always hear in foster care how hard it is to send kids back, and that can happen. But in this situation, to see these 2 girls reunited with their family, with their siblings, with their parents, was such a miracle, because it was a huge blessing in the lives of those kids and the lives of their parents. And kudos to their parents for doing the hard work that it took, and it has been a blessing in their lives ever since. They've been home for, gosh, probably almost 8 years now, and we still stay in touch. They're still part of our lives, and they're doing great.
That's amazing.
Because their parents decided to do what was right, and it's been a blessing and a miracle in the lives of those children, and that'll reverberate down through generations.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
That's in this book. Like, it literally says, don't forget this part about the gospel, my fam, don't go adopting children without talking to your man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in here, dude.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I appreciate you sharing that, and you're 100% right. And so to kind of wrap up here, a message I just want to leave. There are people here who are unmarried that want to get married and have kids. There are people who are married that haven't had kids yet. There are people that, have had kids and now have grandkids. Your career will pass away. All of your possessions will pass away. Everything that you think makes you cool or important will pass away. But the relationships of your family, the children that are sealed to you, your spouse, those are the only thing that are eternal. And so yes, you could treasure up everything that the world has to offer, but the real thing you can treasure up in heaven is children, is memories and experiences and relationships with your spouses. So what I'll say is, let's not take the family proclamation lightly. Let's be bold about it. Let's be excited about it. And let's live it. Thank you guys so much for coming up and sharing your thoughts.
Thanks, Eddie.
Cardio Miracle!
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, well, we got one more panel here tonight. So you guys all came out and you got in your hands this new book called The Doctrines and the Mysteries. Now, if there's one thing, or two things, I guess, that the Stick of Joseph talks about in every single episode, it's the doctrines and the mysteries. So when I saw Caleb was going to publish this, I saw he posted, this is how it worked out, he posted on his Instagram, hey, my book's coming out. And I'm like, I want to publish that book so much and do a book event and fly him from England out here, and I want to sell this book because it's amazing. And so I messaged him, and he's like, I don't know, man. And after some back and forth, we came to an agreement, and we're so excited. And some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight and show tonight from this book have already deepened my understanding of the priesthood and of the temple. And so I'm really excited. So let's bring everybody up real quick. So Caleb Williams, come up. Everybody give him a hand. Then Jonah Barnes, once again. And lastly, the editor-in-chief of Plain and Precious Publishing, D. John Butler. Standing at 6'10". Hands bigger than my face.
Yeah, who, is this your first time seeing Dave Butler in person? Raise your hand. Impressive. Sorry. Impressive.
You'll never forget it.
Much taller. Yeah. Before we get into it, after this panel discussion, we're going to be doing a Q&A with everyone that's been up here before, so just be thinking about some questions that you may want to ask. We'll be having a line over here with a microphone.
But, you know, since we've been up here, I'm very interested. You know, we came out really hard. The Orem police, they called us. They told us there was going to be an agitator. And I said some mean things about the Grinch. Are you here, Grinch?
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. Whoa. Chill out. I'm sorry, man.
Are you telling me a grown man wrote this book?
Hey, did you read it?
I looked at the pictures. You know, better than the Book of Mormon in that way.
It's got pictures.
Dave Butler, King Josiah was a good man. Shame on you. That's right.
Mr. Grinch, just open your heart.
My heart? What are you talking?
Your heart.
This is just a sweater. You may have heard I won recently Holiday Cheermeister. Down with the losers.
Have you ever actually read the Book of Mormon? Or you just read things?
I just can't figure that book out. I mean, it came without notes, and it came without manuscripts, and it came without scholars or schooling, and
hey, chill out.
The whole Book of Mormon is stupid, stupid, stupid.
Well, the crowd is getting restless.
Have you ever prayed about it?
However. Come again?
Have you ever heard of prayer?
Maybe.
Well, did you do it? Have you ever done it?
You know,
Do it.
I just thought of something I hadn't before.
What's that, Mr. Grinch?
Maybe happiness and truth doesn't come from an ex-Mormon subreddit thread. Maybe happiness and truth, perhaps, means a little bit more. What's happening? Oh, my
Mr.
God.
Grinch! Mr. Grinch!
What is this?
Are you okay? What are you feeling?
I feel all warm inside.
Mr. Grinch, that's the spirit, I think.
And I'm leaking!
I think you need to go reread the Book of Mormon and pray.
That's fine.
Give it up for Mr. Grinch. All right, no more. If you can't already tell, anything that happens in these live events goes through like very little approval process. like zero approval process. This is actually what happened. He calls me, he's like, hey, you know I have a Grinch costume? And he's like, wear it, dude, we could do all this crazy stuff. And then all that just happened. Yeah, so. The Grinch, his heart grew. That was Austin Falter. That was Austin Falter, the man who wrote and got the illustrations done for this book. So get up for Austin Falter.
Take a bow. Come out and take a bow.
Oh, man. All right, Mr. Caleb Williams. So you have left the motherland to come all the way here to America.
The land of my forefathers.
Yes, the land of our forefathers. And we're sorry we couldn't afford a plane ticket. Like, was it boat ride rough?
Yeah, it was the hand cart that really did it.
It was the hand cart that did it, yeah. Budget was tight. Yeah. But we're glad that you came out here. So if you guys don't know, Caleb Williams, you might have not heard that name before, and it's because you go by something else. What do you go by, and why do you go by that?
Yeah, my pseudonym is Godwin, and my Instagram is Library of Godwin. And the reason I chose Godwin, I wanted to have a pseudonym. I thought it was kind of
it's cool.
It's cool. It's a cool thing to do. Yeah.
Every kid wants like a nickname or a secret name.
Yeah.
Sign.
So there's William Godwin is an English writer. He's Mary Shelley's dad, and he wrote a book actually called The Adventures of Caleb Williams back in like the early 1800s. Cool. So I thought that works as my secret name.
That's actually awesome. I didn't even know that. That's cool. Well, so first off, what is this book? And then after that, we're going to get into some of the art that you did, but I'm really curious, what is this book? Why'd you do it?
Yeah, so this book is the culmination of a year of studying the Restoration and the Doctrine and Covenants, following Come Follow Me. So each week I take what the passages in the Come Follow Me lesson, and I pour through them, and I choose something in those passages to illustrate. And sometimes that's more challenging than other times, but the result is, in this book, there's 48 illustrations, and then attached to each illustration is I went combing through as many sources as I could find, the Joseph Smith papers, the Journal of Discourses, things like that. And so attached to each illustration is a source from an early Restoration voice on that topic. So it might be a revelation, it might be a sermon or a journal entry or something published in the Times and Seasons, something like that. And so, yeah, the product of that is this book, A Year Studying the Restoration.
Some of these are really obscure.
Yes.
Some of these are really obscure. Like you dug for some of these things.
I don't know about the word obscure, though. Let's talk about this. So, I live a life of strange Venn diagrams, and so some of you may not know this. I'm an editor at a fiction publisher, and I'm actually a novelist. I have 20 novels published, okay? Thank you. That's a different thing I do from this. And I love Caleb's art. So I encountered it first on X because somebody tagged me when Caleb posted a very large, very esoteric-looking piece of art. And once I was tagged, Caleb said, "Oh, I've read some of Dave's stuff," and we've been talking ever since. And you all have the book, or many of you have the book maybe in your hands, and so you're looking at this, and what I love about it, well, there are many things I love about it. I would not say obscure. I would say it's indirect. I would say that Caleb is using visual art creatively to make connections consciously or unconsciously that you're not going to make through a syllogistic argument or through commentary, right? He's adding a meditative, an intuitive layer on these texts through the visual art, and I think that more Mormon artists should be doing exactly this thing.
Mm-hmm. And I don't disagree at all. I thought that the sermons, like, this is a letter that Lorenzo Snow slipped under the placemat of his wife.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where? I thought I had read everything I could find. And
Articles
there's-
published in the Times and Seasons.
Oh, you mean the
and-
text?
Yeah,
The
the text
text,
itself.
yeah,
Yeah,
so where- did you
It's
find
mostly
these?
not Doctrine and Covenants. The letter from Liberty Jail is in here, and
Couple other things.
A few canonized revelations.
Yeah, John Taylor's appreciation of Joseph, but like mostly it's text you haven't read before.
He's created a competing canon for the church.
Oh no!
Wait.
Right.
And so
Wants to start.
Caleb's
start
church.
a cult.
This
A
is
start of a
actually, you
cult.
guys are in a church service
Yes.
right now.
Lock
This
the
is Bishop
doors.
Caleb.
Lock the doors, please. Yeah. We're all in a cult now.
I'll say something. No, what I love about Caleb's art is it does exactly what Dave's saying, is it makes you ponder. And if you guys want to open up your books to page 203, this is one of my favorite illustrations, and we actually did an episode in our studio about this today.
Brandon,
But-
this is the priesthood
love
priesthood
this
one for you to pull up.
Yeah, if you want to pull up the image there. So it comes, the text that accompanies it is a discourse on the power of the priesthood by George Q. Cannon. And it's a phenomenal and very powerful sermon that he gives. But as you see at the top is Jesus Christ, and it goes down through these different men that passed on keys of the priesthood. And as I looked at this, I honestly saw nothing more than a bunch of little black squiggly lines and some things that kind of sort of looked familiar. But as I looked at it more, and that guy under Jesus is Adam.
And Caleb, why don't you walk us through like how you put this together?
Yeah, so that week in Come Follow Me was all about priesthood and priesthood keys. And reading through Doctrine and Covenants and just reading through the Restoration, this just pops up all over the place. This discussion about Joseph talking about priesthood keys, receiving them, who holds them, who passes them. And we talk all about, priesthood authority and priesthood keys, but sometimes I think we don't actually put it all together, thread the story from the beginning of time, from in the garden to the final dispensation in the sacred grove, in the priest when we're talking about the priesthood. So that was my approach to this piece, is I wanted to thread that all together, and I wanted to lay out the story of the priesthood from the beginning of time up through the final of the 7 dispensations, which is why around the globe there are these 7 keyholes for each of those dispensations of time. And all these figures that Joseph mentions throughout the Doctrine and Covenants and through his other writings as explicitly giving him keys of authority throughout his ministry.
That's awesome.
And what I like about these illustrations is Caleb, he's not interested in spoon feeding, okay? And with these illustrations, there's a lot of things that we call like Easter eggs and little hidden things that if you have gone to the temple, you will find great significance in these illustrations. And I love it because it kind of follows a pattern of Jesus in the New Testament when the disciples come to him in Matthew 13, and they say, "And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath." And so, and then this last verse, "Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand." And so, one of the things that you'll find in this book, there's a little mark in the side in the columns. And I asked Caleb what that was today, and
He's not going to tell anybody.
I won't say. You got to figure it out for yourself. You got to search.
Exactly. And so throughout this book, I invite you, it's been a phenomenal experience for me to read through, look at these illustrations, see all the temple symbolism, and just sit and ponder, because I feel like it's almost a lost language, the ability to understand symbolism, and because we're so spoon-fed with different things nowadays.
And about the temple, that's a big part of what I do, and the temple symbolism, partly because in my generation I've known a lot of people who, having grown up
not really symbolically literate, not really caring about these things or being exposed to old Christian art, they go to the temple for the first time, and they're off-put by it because it's a whole language they have no idea, that they've never really taken the time to learn, and they end up not going to the temple again, or it takes a long time. And that really, it upset me every time, I had a friend like this. And so one thing that I'm really passionate about is increasing that symbolic literacy so that when we go to the temple, we get the language that's being spoken, and when we read the scriptures, those images that we just kind of pass over as we're reading, these visual images, I'm hoping that I can help people start to connect those and then start seeing the patterns, connecting things that are happening in the Old Testament with what's happening in the Pearl of Great Price and the Doctrine and Covenants and all the way through. So that's a big part of what motivates me.
Well, kind of going off what Jackson was saying, reading that verse from Matthew about Jesus speaking in parables, right? So that those who had eyes to see and ears to hear would receive more than those who didn't, right? If you look at this art, it's just a parable. A parable is just a verbal visualization, right? You're using words to paint a picture, a story to paint a picture, and you're doing it right here in the form of art. So I think it'd be fun to go through one of the really cool pieces of art that I first looked at. It's on page 213 if you guys want to turn there, and it's on the government of the Almighty. And it's an article published in the Times and Seasons just about the difference between how God governs and how the world governs. And I think this is very relevant to us today because we're seeing how the world is governing, and it is governing farther and farther from the way that God governs. But when I first saw this image here, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what are you trying to say here? Like, you got Jesus in the middle, I get that, and then you got these fish, and
I thought it was a magic eye thing.
You got a magic eye. Yeah, we have to go like this.
Something pops out.
Yeah.
And I sat for hours, couldn't figure it out.
I know.
Yeah.
So why don't you walk us through, teach us maybe how we can start becoming more symbolically literate. That way, when people leave this place tonight and they're reading this book, that they can kind of apply some of this thinking. So to walk us through.
Okay, yeah. So this was maybe one of the biggest challenges in terms of Come Follow Me themes, is it was all about how the church is organized, the administrative organization, and I thought, how on earth am I going to illustrate that?
Bureaucracy. How are you going to draw bureaucracy?
Yeah, bureaucracy of the church. How am I going to make that visually interesting? So what I started to do is I started to think about the different ways that you can frame it. So you can talk about Jesus Christ as the foundation or the cornerstone, which would place him at kind of a bottom of a visual image, and you build the church up on top of him there. You can also talk about Jesus Christ as the head of the church. So you can have a visual layout where he is at the top of a scene, and then the church comes out from below him. But I decided to go with the idea of Christ as the center of the church, as kind of this gravitational center, and that all of the organization of the church circles outwards from him. And so, yes, like you say, I have Jesus Christ in the center, and then around him, it's divided into three parts, and the fish represent the first presidency, and it's a visual marker towards Peter, James, and John, the fishermen. And so that's that next layer. So I'm always trying to see how can I attach animals or objects or plants or cosmic symbols to these very mundane things in the world or in the church. So you have these pillars separating into three sections with the first presidency, and then you have this next layer out with 12 stars, and first Nephi, he has a vision, and there's 12 apostles, and they're described as stars. So you've got these 12 apostles on the quorum of the 12 apostles as these stars around. In between them, you can kind of see there's these little wheat sheaves, kind of marking that the mission of the 12 is to gather in the harvest, that they are to go out to the world and gather in that harvest. And then the outer ring, there are 70 stars, 70 elders who are responsible for preaching and administering and organizing the church. And then in each four corner, there's a stake to represent that the stakes of Zion are planted in the four corners of the world, and that the canopy, the tent of the church, then covers the entire earth. And that is kind of my
Gosh,
thinking.
how do
in
you
the
plan that out?
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. But the thing I love about this is like, a lot of times when we're reading the scriptures or when we use words, like how many, recent converts or new converts are so sad when they get invited to the steakhouse and it's not the steakhouse, you know what I mean? The steak building. Or they had to go to steak conference and there's no steak. We don't think about what these things actually mean. But when I look at this and I'm like, okay, so he has these ropes tied to a thing. Oh, that's a stake in there. Well, what is a stake then? And then I start thinking about, and you talked about this earlier today, or I think it might have been Greg or someone, but the idea that the stakes are actually the stakes that hold the tabernacle of Moses, the original temple, and that these stakes that we are in are just broadening us, turning the world into the Garden of Eden again. You know what I mean? Preparing for the coming of Christ. And so when I see that visualization, it makes me rethink the words that I say and what they mean. Jonah, you're about to say something?
Well, I was going to say I don't do visual art. I can't draw a stick figure. But what I love about your art, and I don't mean to disparage any like LDS artists out there, I feel like a lot of LDS art is, here's a scene. Here's a thing that happened.
Yes.
And here's how it might have looked. And the time and the effort they're putting in is to making it look like that thing.
Talk in the mic a little
Sorry,
bit more.
I'm putting it in the mic. And it's, this is this thing that happened. And great, you can look at that. I feel like Caleb's approach is completely different. Is that this didn't happen. That's never existed anywhere. Like you can't see, oh look, there's this circle of fish circling around. Like instead he's depicting meaning. Not a historical event, but meaning. And when you do it that way, you can show principles, doctrines, feelings, and things through your art instead of just, oh, this is a thing that happened. Wow, that maybe it looked like that. That's really cool. Instead, it's trying to convey meaning, and it's a layer beneath. I really, really like it. Actually, we have a home that is totally unfurnished with art. We have a lot of white walls, and I've been trying to get art to put up. And actually, I went to your website, and I was looking at your art, and I thought if I could get a really big one of this one or that one. I like the wedding feast of the wedding supper of the Lamb. Yeah. I thought I looked at that and I was like, oh, Andrea Woodmansee must be just all over that one.
Yeah.
She must love that one. And the priesthood. My wife and I have a fight about who each the people are. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, that's totally Enoch. She's like, no, it's not. So we're trying to figure out who it is. It's ruining our marriage. Again, no, but that's what I think the difference is that the reason why Caleb's art is so different is because it's not communicating a thing that happened somewhere, sometime, someplace. It's trying to make you feel doctrines, to feel meanings, and it's really fresh. And our faith is deep enough; it deserves that.
Yeah.
And I wish I could see some of this in temples. I walk through a temple and the art's fantastic.
Petition.
It's not pure illustration, right? It's something more than I for one, by the way, Jonah, I'm glad to hear there's something you don't do.
Yeah, it's true.
But another facet of that is it leaves. There's a sense in which the real art is the experience between what Caleb has put on the page and you, the viewer, so that the symbols can be multivalent and you can have a different reaction. And just for example, as I was sitting here listening to Caleb's explanation, which of course it's a terrible thing to ask the artist to explain their own art.
Yeah, I know.
That's not supposed to happen.
Because Dave knows what it's really about.
But he did it. No, that's
yeah,
not.
I know.
I don't know better than him. It's just he's not supposed to explain it. Someone else is supposed to. But I look at this and I thought there's interesting kind of resonances with the Egyptian year. We have the sun in the center, and the Egyptian calendar knows 3 seasons, and they're determined by water. They're determined by the levels of the river Nile. Okay, so in the first season you plant, and the second season is flooding, and the third season is harvest after the river goes down.
So you just go with it. You just be like, yep,
and we have sort of
I knew that.
right from the beginning.
That's exactly why I did that.
3 seasons around the sun, and we have 12 months. The Egyptians had a solar calendar with 12 months, and this is agricultural, right? It's all about the planting and the harvest. We see these plants. And now 70 is interesting because it's a number of completion of wholeness, right? You see 70 and 72 are interchangeable anciently representing the whole world, the 70 nations of the world, the 70, it could as easily be 72, right? Which has an astronomical referent also, because it's 72 5-degree increments that divide up the night sky, right? And so you see,
So they say.
and you see the night sky around here in the four corners of the zodiacal, the ecliptic, right? So I was looking at this, not to disagree with anything you said, right? But to say I can have this is the point. It's a beautiful symbolism that lets us embrace and to sit here and meditate about how the government of the Almighty is also a government of the cosmos as well as a government of people.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
No,
Cool.
nerd.
What a nerd.
No, it's crazy. We did an episode recently with Greg Matsen where he was talking about his travels in Egypt and the things, and we haven't released it yet. But in the middle of it, like Dave's sitting there, we're like, I bet Dave knows a couple things about Egypt. You know, he probably knows a few things. Let's have him be a part. And then we're looking at hieroglyphs, and then he just starts reading the hieroglyphs. Like, what?
And he's like, yeah, I learned these actually in my Egyptian lexicon that I was reading this morning. It's actually right here.
Yeah, we're like,
I took ancient Egyptian as an elective in high school, obviously.
And I can draw.
Yeah. No, but I think the thing that's really cool, and it's been a subject on the Stick of Joseph recently, but these symbols, they seem to cross across multiple cultures through hundreds of years, thousands of years, and it's because these symbols, I don't know, like, are they ingrained in us? Like, what I'm saying is, like, what Dave just did, is it the same sort of thing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it more than that, but, like, is Dave's interpretation just as valid because these interpretations are ingrained at multiple levels within us anciently? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but the thing that's really cool about doing this is it causes you to have to start thinking in symbols. And so when you go to the temple and there you are performing symbols with your own body and you are talking about symbols and there is symbolic language, and even the garden story is symbolic in its very nature, then hopefully as you learn this language that you are laying out here, you can get more out of the temple.
And I like that you said about parables. This is the language that Christ chose. He chose symbols. He didn't just sit down and give a lecture. He gave them stories and parables and weird symbols, and he gave them the temple symbols. This is the language that Jesus chose. And so I love, and so maybe that's why it feels right. That's why it feels like, like resonates for whatever reason on a deeper level.
Well, I love the way that Caleb is very Catholic, if you will,
Catholic
in his use of symbols, right? I mean, if you flip through, and I actually had my thumb on it and I've lost it, but I think in here on one panel he's got the right side up and upside down pyramids, two of them bisected by lines, which I think are alchemical symbols of the four elements.
Yes, yeah,
right?
that's correct.
He had to explain that to us today.
Just not. Everyone's like, oh yeah, alchemical.
But also he's got. There's a wonderful image of a death scene, which will have symbols that you'll recognize from your own ritual experience, right? And so he's taking symbols from widely disparate sources, and they have meaning to him, right? Or
there's actually a BYU cougar hidden somewhere in the book. And if you can find it, then he'll buy you for copy.
Yeah. So and like we said, you will have different symbols. That you will bring to the text. I do think though that some of that is. Alma says that these things are had from the beginning, right? And I think that we should expect to find, and we do find, traces of the same kinds of spiritual quests among all the children of God all over earth. That shouldn't surprise us. I also think that our natural reaction to some symbols is a built-in, a divinely implanted mechanism to give us an innate orientation, an innate symbolic language that can be used to lead us forward spiritually.
So if you could carve one of these into the Salt Lake City Temple, which one would it be?
Oh, jeez.
Choose now. Choose now.
We
can make it happen.
Probably the wedding supper of the Lamb was one of my favorite ones.
Great one.
To do, yeah.
Great one.
Yeah, security's pretty low in the Salt Lake Temple right now. You could probably get there and
Yeah,
get it
sweet.
done. And
We're live. We're live right now, Hayden.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking like, what is this madness? Like, it's not that deep, bro. But it truly is. And we do stuff like this, like parables and these secret knowledge things at a lower level all the time. Like, who has ever had an inside joke with someone? Like, who has ever heard of the phrase, if you know, you know? Like, there's different things.
Memes are parables, are secrets,
They're
hiding
symbols.
the mysteries.
They are,
They're
yeah.
symbols.
Exactly, but just like on a really bastardized earth level. And here's the thing, like, someone could give a talk and reference like all of these different references from their childhood that their friends would understand, and then a whole group of people, of strangers, could listen to that thing and not understand any of the jokes and have a group of people off to the left just laughing their heads off while everyone else is lost. And so this is something that we as humans do, because I do believe it is ingrained in us, and this is just the celestial form of it. And I fear if we don't make an effort to understand this language of symbolism, then our temple experience will be far less gratifying and far less thought-provoking, because we're just going to be going, President Nelson says that there's no better place to be than in the temple. Okay, I'll go to the temple.
It can be negative.
Sometimes it can be negative, yeah.
I mean, and you can raise your hand, don't be embarrassed, but how many people, your first time in the temple, you walked out a little bit pale? I walked out thinking, whoa, what did I just see? What did I just see? In not a super positive way. Sometimes it's a little jarring because we're soaked in Protestantism. We're soaked in it. And so you go to the temple, my dad sits next to me and, gets all comfy and fell asleep next to me. And I'm like, thanks, Dad. So I watched the whole thing just like, what's going on?
Sorry, Dad.
But imagine if your teenagers had this in their home or on their wall, and they saw these weird symbols and this weird wood carving art, and your child was raised with that instead of kind of the I don't want to.
You gonna throw Arnold Freeberg under the bus?
I don't want to throw Arnold Freeberg under the bus, but instead of wow, wasn't Nephi buff? Great, we get it, he was buff. But if you saw like some of these cool symbols, you grew up with that. Then
you're talking about the art, yeah. You're talking about the art instead of just the plain Jane art.
Yes.
What if they were surrounded by?
What if they had this, and then they go to the temple and they would say, "Oh, okay, all right." Imagine if they had a little bit more of this instead of me or some of you who were soaked in Protestantism, where symbols and these things are bad. They're bad.
Yeah, and the thing about the language of symbols, one of its powers is that it is more immune from criticism or from destruction. I believe that the reason the book of Isaiah was preserved the way that it was, and that it's so important, is because it was so symbolically dense that when people were tearing through the Bible and tearing things out of it, they just didn't realize that what was there, because it was written in a language that they didn't read or they didn't understand.
I like that a lot.
And I think that's the same reason you can see these remnants of the temple in old Christian art, because when they're changing it and they're destroying it or repainting over it, if they didn't know what it was referencing, the symbolism of it, they just pass it over. It was immune from their critiquing eye.
Wow,
that's a really cool way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk about this all night, but we shouldn't, because they should get in the book and read it themselves and spend some time. One thing that we added, Jackson and I, as we got back from deployment, we've always ended our episodes with stay curious and hungry, but we've added something else to it, and it's turn off YouTube and get into the scriptures. Turn off Instagram and get into the scriptures. Say a prayer. Because, guys, nothing that Dave is going to say is going to save you. Nothing that Jonah is going to say is going to save you. It might provoke you.
All right, hold on. So,
Jonah, stop. Now, these are thought-provoking things, and the things that they have learned and the spiritual knowledge they have acquired should do something within us to go and interface with God ourselves. You can't. Salvation is done on an individual level between you and your Creator. And no one else can do it. And so don't let that get in the way. So I hope, I'm going to give Caleb the last word here, but I hope that everybody here leaves, takes some time to be quiet. Put your phone in a different room and look at one of these pictures and read a sermon from Joseph Smith or George Q. Cannon on the priesthood, and look at these images and really try to ponder and have an experience with God. I've had 3 of them in the last couple days getting ready for this, and I'm grateful for that. Caleb, to wrap it up, I just want you to leave, how has doing this book and writing this art, how has it strengthened your testimony, and what is your testimony of Christ?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience. First of all, thank you to everybody who's supported me over the past 2 years and who's come out to this and has been interested in my work. It means a lot to me. I have better understood my place in a much grander story through this process of understanding and trying to bring out and flesh out from what I'm studying the end from the beginning, and what all of this is about and where I fit in that story. And that has been probably the most powerful experience for me, is interfacing with these symbols, interfacing with these scriptures, struggling with how I wanted to present things. And in that struggle, I think I've come just a little bit to better understand the story and the legacy that I'm part of. I take really seriously our claim to be the restoration of the ancient church from the very beginning, and that this is the final dispensation, and that we are all active participants in it. The cover of the book, this is the saints building the Nauvoo temple, and what I really wanted to capture is the energy of the restoration, that this is not just a new spiritual movement of listening to this sermon with crazy ideas. This restoration is about building a kingdom. Everybody has a role. It's a high energy. It's a high commitment. It's an all-in type of project and type of work. And that is what I wanted to kind of capture on the cover, to capture the essence of the restoration, and that we are all part of this work. We're all building that kingdom. And of course, at the center of it is my testimony of Jesus Christ, who, that's hard to put into words, so I try to put it into art, what that means to me. But he is everything, and he is that core that all of the symbols point me back to as I'm working through it.
Thank you. Give it up for Caleb. All right, guys. We went pretty long, but I know we said we're going to do a Q&A, so we'll take 3 questions, but real quick. So everyone who is a part of the panel, come up here, bring your chair, just come sit up. We'll take 3 questions. But first, if you want to publish a book, go to our website and fill out that. This is not the time to pitch your book. And if you have a comment, we're going to stick around after. But if you have a question that has a question mark at the end, please stand up and raise your hand, and we have a microphone. Carden, can you grab the wireless mic? And Carden will be our mic guy for this. Here, Brando, the wireless mic should be there. Oh, Brando's over here. Which also, give it up for Brandon. Brandon's awesome. Where'd the wireless mic go?
Over here.
Brandon? Oh, you got
Right
it?
here.
All right, we got a question from a young gentleman on the wall.
Wait, over here first.
Oh. Young gentleman, if you want to make your way over there.
Hey, Jim.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for creating this great event and gathering everybody so that I could announce that my book, Working Towards Zion, Principles of the United Order for the Modern World, after being out of print, having sold out, as of today, is back in print.
All right, there we go.
But I got a question.
That wasn't a question, okay.
I'm following the rules. The largest, okay, so we focus a lot on the evangelical critics who have chosen to make themselves our enemies. We don't like that. We'd prefer that they be our friends, but that tends to attract a lot of attention. However, the largest growing group in religious censuses are the nones, N-O-N-E-S, agnostics, atheists, people with no religion. With this brilliant group up here, I would be very interested in what your all thoughts are on how do we pitch the restored gospel to the nuns.
To the nuns. Carton, any of you guys in the front have anything to say? I know Hayden Carroll's got something to say.
Sorry, tell me the nuns again. No, what is it?
Agnostics, atheists, and people of no religious affiliation.
Well, you guys have all seen the clip of Alex O'Connor when Ruslan says, if you had to join any Christian denomination, what would it be? And he said, the Mormons.
No, he said, the Mormons, of course.
The Mormons, of course. Here's the thing. When asked, what would it take for you to be a believer? Alex O'Connor said, you know, he's so honest and so friendly and genuine. He said, you know, I think it would take a personal experience with the divine. It's personal revelation. So here's, at the end of the day, it's going to be God or the Holy Ghost that's going to be able to touch them. We can be friendly and loving to them. We still pitch the gospel in the same way that we do to anybody else, and we allow the Spirit to touch them. But I think Alex is right. They need to have a personal experience. It's not going to be some argument. He says, I'm not going to open a book and say, oh, there's the argument that convinces me that God exists. Because guess what? There are reasons to doubt, but there will always be reasons to believe, and we can make that choice to believe. Even if we can't prove it, we can have a personal experience with God.
Anyone else got anything to say on that matter on the panel? Okay, cool.
Yeah, the nuns are a dying breed, bro. It's not cool anymore. It's out. The days of that being up and hip are over. We actually have a generation of Gen Alpha and Gen Z that's going to church with their grandparents. Boomers neglected us all, and the spiritual sentinels at the gate fell asleep. But now the younger generation is cleaning up the mess that wealth created 50 years ago in the post-war America.
Yeah.
There's data on this, by the way. Pew Research just came out with a study that says the nuns will plateau within 5 years.
That's awesome.
So like that's not just like a rant. There's like data behind this. And we can talk later when you're done pitching your book at another publishing company's party. That was a bold move, dog.
That's awesome. Okay, what another question? Do we got another question? Yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, we got one right here.
No, I snuck
Sweet
over.
mustache,
No
and then we'll
worries.
do that. Move over here. If you got a question, come over here.
I haven't started working on a book yet, so no worries about that. But I do have a question about some of those studies that were mentioned. There's recent reports coming out showing that now members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are a minority in Utah, which came to the chagrin of many of us who read those reports. Speaking as part of that generation now that's more religiously, zealous, what do you guys believe a Latter-day Saint should do to advocate, either politically or socially, in order to stop the gradual decrease of the values that we think have made Utah so great, which are obviously religious in nature?
Outbreed them. Outbreed them.
Let's go.
That's what we're going to do.
Hey, Greg, you got
We'll make them babies.
That's the sci-fi sex cult I was talking about before, dog.
No,
You all got mad at me.
pagan
You got
sci-fi
mad at
sex
me,
cult.
and he literally says outbreed our competition.
Dude, it's true, though.
I do want to add, Carton, you admitted you're at fault for some of that. You brought him over here from California.
That's true.
We need to bring down the cost of housing so our kids don't leave.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
I also
Absolutely
keep in mind that that's not necessarily just a loss, right? When we talking about California or anybody who's grown up outside of the Book of Mormon belt, you grow up and you have a different identity where you have the opportunity to be stronger, to identify more with your own group instead of, as Hayden says, lazily going down a lazy river, that it's still going. So I don't know that the values will automatically change. Maybe they will, but I think there is an opportunity to galvanize a Latter-day Saint identity of the founders of the state, the heritage that is here, and maybe it feels a little bit different for everybody here at that point.
Can I add to that? I think the answer to your question is good. Good. I'm glad, because think of all the opportunity that comes with that. The fact that more people want to be in Utah is a good thing, and it gives us more opportunity. And I think also, kind of piggybacking on what Greg said, not only is an opportunity to form a more distinct identity, but to make that identity great. And it makes me think of President Nelson said, and I think he was quoting perhaps President Benson, and it was directed towards the women of the church, but I think it applies broadly, is to the degree that we will live the gospel and stand up for the gospel, others will be attracted to it. So it's an opportunity for more people to be attracted to the gospel when they see us living it.
So are you moving to Utah to help us take advantage of this opportunity?
My husband won't allow it.
Well, you just adopted kids without his permission. You can't move.
You can't move.
Oh no, honey, not a mortgage. Here's 2 extra babies.
That's actually amazing.
And if you can't outbreed them, you can just adopt
You
more
adopt
babies
them.
too.
Adopt the nuns.
That
Adopt the
counts.
nuns and turn them. Okay, so, all right, last question right here, BYU hat.
My question's a little less theological, I guess.
Yeah.
Andrea promised me a book, or all of us. When is that coming out, and can I pre-order it now?
Good question. Excellent question.
That is the worst plant you guys have ever done at one of these events. That's Confederate right there.
He did a good job.
I did, and I will. But in keeping with the proclamation on the family, my priority is my family, and I'm still raising 5 children. That's my priority.
What an excuse.
And I think in today's world, especially the message that's given to women is to deprioritize your family and prioritize your career. And it can be a struggle for many women to find that balance. It's certainly a struggle for me sometimes because there are things I want to do, but at the end of the day, it's my kids that always come first and are always most important to me. So if it means I only write a paragraph a day, I only write a paragraph a day. So thank you all for your patience. Thank you for your support. I can't tell you what it means to me to have so many of you expressing what some of these things have meant to you. And it keeps me going. I appreciate it.
Wait, it looks like we have one more question.
Oh no, we don't have time. No. Oh,
Where'd you get that hat?
I found it backstage, so. First, does anyone need a vacation? Raise your hand. I've got I don't need this anymore. Post-Mormon celebration furry cruise. If I went, they'd be on me like Fleagle flies on a flat-faced Flogel horse. So. Question, asking for a friend, what does it take for somebody to join, what you're doing, church?
Do you want to come to church?
Wow.
Yeah, how does that, yeah.
Wow.
Ward Radio tie.
Hey, let's start.
Well, Mr. Grinch, I think I speak for all of us here that we'd love for you to come to church. Let's bring in Mr. Grinch to church.
Thank you.
We need better beards at church, so.
All right, that is the end of the madness. We're so grateful that all of you came out. Once again, for all those watching, you can get Doctrines and the Mysteries at plainandpreciouspublishing.com. For the next 2 hours, we'll be doing 15% off with code livestream. And then everybody here, 20% off with code livestream.
25.
Oh, 25%. Wait, 75% off. If everything's free. And then everybody here that came to the live event, everything's 20% off. And with any purchase, you get the Light the World merch so that we can light the world this Christmas. So we love you guys. Thank you so much. And until next time, stay curious and hungry.